Kadre Ishmael, the rookie out of Syracuse, will go back deep for Minnesota. The Vikings coming in here 4-2, 4-0 against the NFC Central. The Lions in first place. They have already matched their victory output of a year ago. And Wayne Fonts, after going through that roller coaster season of a year ago, 5-11, looking for their 6th win here tonight. Ishmael will bring it out. And Kadre brings it out to the 19-yard line. So Jim McMahon, this is a guy who has been a winner, quite obviously. He gives the Vikings leadership, some toughness. He struggled with his accuracy. He has only 3 touchdown passes to go with 5 interceptions. Trying to get the offense rolling. Scored only 36 points in 6 games.
Gary, Dennis Green, as he said to us yesterday, our passing game has been out of sync. And, you know, to win a championship, you have to be able to win it on defense and special teams, which clearly the Vikings can. But on offense, they've got to get that passing game going. They need some 30 and 40-yard games tonight.
They'll come out now with 2 receivers split out. Barry Word will be the running back. It'll be Barry Word, the former Kansas City Chief, and he'll bring it across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Well, the Vikings lost 3 excellent linemen this year to free agency, so they've had to shore the thing up. They've had, coming back, Tim Irwin along with Randall McDaniel up front. But Barry Word is the guy that they picked up, 5th-round draft pick from Kansas City. He starts. He'll share that job with Robert Smith. The Carters outside, and here's the offensive line. It's got a rookie, Everett Lindsey, a 5th-round draft pick from Mississippi, starting at that left outside tackle. 2nd and 7. Two receivers split to the top of the field. McMahon will roll that way. On the way with a pass, and Anthony Carter makes the grab, and he has a 1st down. It'll be at the 39-yard line. This guy is still a feared receiver. An 18-yard gain on the play. Well, we talked about the Lions, how improved they are defensively. Spindler and Owens along with Pete up front, but the strength of this team is the linebacker. However, one of their linebackers, Dennis Gibson, is not here tonight. Victor Jones will start in his place. And the secondary's been flying around this year, picking off passes. Ray Crockett with 1, and William White, the quarterback. He calls all the signals in the secondary. 1st down at the 39. Anthony Carter comes in motion. They give it to him. The veteran will get wide, though, because coming up is Tim McKyer, 33. Also Dan Owens. So that did not fool the Lions at all. As we said, they've been very effective against the run this year, allowing only 1 rushing touchdown this season.
And you also mentioned that it's a linebackers team, but that time Dan Owens in the inside did his job. He plays right defensive end for them. And then they got good support from Tim McKyer on the outside. I mean, what they have is a lot more guys contributing on defense. It's not just Chris Spielman. Benny Blades is out with an injury for a few more weeks, but it's not just Chris Spielman's defense anymore. They have a lot of guys who are contributing.
Loss of 7. It'll be 2nd down and 17. Just underway from the Metrodome. McMahon looking, trying to clear one to the near side to Anthony Carter. He had double coverage. There's nothing there at all. William Clay, who comes in as a nickel, was there, along with McKyer and also Harry Colon. So it'll bring up a 3rd down and 17.
And Gary, one of the key matchups for the Minnesota Vikings tonight is their rookie left tackle, Everett Lindsey, number 61, against the pass rushers of Detroit Lions, whether it's Tracy Hayworth or whether it's Pat Swilling, because they're going to try to come off the corner on Everett Lindsey, number 61, the rookie, and get in McMahon's face.
And they're coming after him now on a 3rd and 17. Chris Carter in motion, and Swilling fires off. Let's see if he's induced on the play. Swilling, who's been out with a high arch sprain, was out last week. Tried to play 3 plays against Seattle, but he told the coaches he'd be ready. Hank Buller was glad to have him.
Ball start prior to the snap. 61 offense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
And so you have to understand how difficult it is to stay in that stance when you have a guy like Pat Swilling.
You're right, but every pass protection the Vikings had, this is Lindsey, the rookie writer, this is Swilling, but every pass protection, they're going to have at least a tight end, maybe a back. This time they have 2 guys there to help Everett Lindsey.
3rd down now and 22 yards to go after that penalty against Lindsey. Man from the shotgun this time. Pressure coming, being flushed out by Porcher, dumps it off to Robert Smith, the rookie from Ohio State, and Smith is able to get out to the 33, considerably short of the first down. It'll bring up a fourth down. Ryan McNeil over to make the stop on Smith, who really gave everyone a glimpse of his gifts Monday night against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you know, you watch Robert Smith and you feel like he's 6 points just waiting to happen, you know.
Going back deep will be Vernon Turner to receive the punt from this guy, Harry Newsom. Newsom coming into this ball game is second in the NFC in punting. Vernon Turner replacing the injured Mel Gray, and he did a great job last week against the Rams. Newsom hits a beauty. Turner back to the 11-yard line. Here he goes to the 20 and stumbles forward to the 23. He had a big return that set up the winning field goal last week. That's a 56-yard punt by Newsom. A 12-yard return, and the Lions will have the football for the first time. Score, the Lions with the football for the first time, and Rodney Peete, who has quieted the quarterback controversy, coming back and winning the last two starts, playing with confidence. He's an accurate passer, good football awareness, and his mobility is superb, and he's already rushed for 12 touchdowns in his career to show you how he can run with the ball.
This is a defensive game, though, Gary, that'll turn on not the quarterbacks, but defense and turnovers.
From the 23, the Lions with their first snap. Rodney Holman, the tight end, in motion. Barry Sanders, and Sanders drops at the 24. That was Jack Del Rio, the middle linebacker. Well, Barry Sanders, we mentioned, is leading the NFL in rushing, averaging just over 103 yards a game. You want to watch Herman Moore. He is becoming one of the outstanding receivers in the NFL. Perriman is back after missing last week due to injury. Lomas Brown is back, and they need him desperately. He's missed the last 3 games with an ankle sprain. And they picked up 3 guys by free agency that has really solidified an area that was a disaster last year, the offensive line. On a 2nd and 9, Peete, his first pass of the night. Perriman makes the catch, and he is very close to the first down. He had the first down, gave up some of that yardage as he came back to the ball. Audrey McMillan made the stop. It will be a first down. Defensively, the Minnesota Vikings #1 in the NFL against the pass as well as overall. They're 5th in the rush department. Randall and Thomas, we talked about them. Jack Del Rio has really found a home with this Minnesota team. Strickland coming over from the Rams. And in the secondary, they have 3 guys in that secondary. Each have had 3 interceptions in a game a year ago. First down. Barry Sanders trying to get wide. They cut off that lane, and he barely got back to the line of scrimmage. Todd Scott came up, turned him in, and John Randall, the 4th-year man out of Texas A&I, he has been so impressive in watching tapes of him this week.
You're right. Let's look at the other guy we talked about, Henry Thomas, number 97. He's offset there on Glover, number 53. They take 2 guys again. They go low on Henry Thomas. Henry Thomas said, though, to stop Barry Sanders, if you get blocked, you get on the ground, you got to get up and don't stay blocked and just keep running.
2nd down, virtually 10 yards to go. Peete on the play action. Far side, wide open, and the ball goes right through the hands of Perriman. Now, we mentioned he missed the last game due to injury. He caught a ball a moment ago, his 12th of the year, which is considerably below his pace of a year ago when he led the team in receiving.
Well, what the Detroit is trying to do, they're running draws and they're running play action to try to take some of the heat off Rodney Peete. And Perriman does a nice job of settling down. It was a perfectly thrown ball. I mean, Rodney Peete took a hit at the end there from Thomas. A little kiss there. But that ball should have been caught for a first down and would have kept the drive alive here.
3rd down and 10. Peete being flushed out. This is his mobility we're talking about. He'll be short of the first down. Tackled by Jack Del Rio at the 41-yard line. But you can see how nifty a runner Rodney Peete is. He is coming into this ball game with 98 yards rushing, a little over 4 yards a carry, as Jim Arnold now will come in and punt the football on 4th down.
Watch how they're going to try to take care of Chris Dolman, number 56. First you block him with a tight end, Rodney Holman, and then you have Lomas Brown come finish him off. So they're trying to double team all three of their big rushers inside.
I think he did finish him off.
Yeah.
Anthony Parker back. They skip it back to Arnold. A flag on the play. They're going to blow this play dead. That was a pretty good job by Arnold to field that snap that was scooting along the surface of this artificial turf. So the flags stop it all, and let's sort this one out.
False start prior to the snap, the whole right side of the offensive line. 5 yards, repeat, 4th down.
Ron Blum, our referee. So some movement up front. Rodenhauser, who snapped for the Chicago Bears, will be snapping again, and that last one didn't help his confidence at all. As Arnold will go back and punt again. We have two very good punters, second and third in the NFC coming into this game. There's another one bounced back. And Arnold very coolly gets it underway. Anthony Parker coming up at the 25. And Parker brings it out to the 31. So Rodenhauser's having some problems. That's a 39-yard punt under some adverse conditions by Arnold. A 6-yard return. So the Vikings will have it for the second time. And on this Halloween night, we have no score. Mark Rodenhauser, who struggled snapping the ball, warming up and hoping that he can recapture what has been a very solid career snapping the ball. But he's like me. I'm very good on the practice tee, but when it really counts, look out.
Yeah, I've never seen you good on the practice tee, quite honestly.
From the 31, first down. McMahon gets rid of it to Chris Carter, and Carter out to the 35. A gain of 4 on the play. Carter, the acrobatic one, the go-to guy right now for Jim McMahon.
Yeah, Chris Carter's had a remarkably productive career in his 7th year in the NFL now, and I think he's one of those guys, Gary, that you can't give up on him too soon. If he's covered, by the time the ball gets to him, he gets open. I mean, he can really separate from that defensive back when the ball is in the air. He's not going to outrun people, but he can separate from the defender.
Second down and 6. Robert Smith is in the backfield. He's going to get the football, and he's going to get a first down and more. He's out to the 50, and you can see what an outstanding open field runner he is. Smith, who had 80 yards Monday night and a brilliant 26-yard touchdown run against Chicago, just went 21 yards there. This is one of the fastest guys in the NFL. The coaches feel he's top 5 as far as speed is concerned in the National Football League.
You know, this is Pat Swilling, Gary. He just does not look healthy to me. He's going to get trap blocked by Randall McDaniel. I mean, he's had that high arch sprain that we talked about, hasn't played in a while. But he is just not as quick on his feet as he ordinarily is. I think he's still really suffering from that ankle injury.
So the Vikings now at the Lions end of the field at the 43. McMahon on a rollout. Got Tim Irwin blocking. He gets decked as he gets rid of it to Steve Jordan. And McMahon is hurt.
Yep.
McMahon is hurt. He got nailed by Dan Owens about the time he released the ball, completed it to Jordan, and he motioned, said, hey, I'm hurting. But he may stay in now.
He signaled to come out. Yeah, Dan Owens, number 90, he's the guy that stuffed the run early in the game. Clean shot.
He's going to take himself out now. He's got to call a timeout. It looked like maybe his left shoulder that he was pointing to, and so they have to use a timeout, and McMahon will come on. If he cannot go, Sean Salisbury, who's made only 1 appearance this year, would replace him. We'll come back. It'll be a second down and a long 5 for the Vikings. Jim McMahon has taken himself out of the ball game during the timeout. Sean Salisbury comes in to replace him at quarterback. On a second down, a long 5, Barry Ward, the running back, and they're trying to tackle the ball as he gets to about the 36-yard line. Let's go back, Pat, and look at the blow that McMahon received.
Well, Dan Owens is 280 pounds, and he has a full run, full head of speed and momentum, and that's 280 pounds landing on McMahon's arm and shoulder, and I mean, he knew right away something was wrong.
Well, he was over there, and he was running around, jogging, trying to hold the football, maybe get some of that feeling back. But he's still on the sideline on a third down and still 4 yards to go. Chris Carter comes in motion. Salisbury Completes the ball for the first down to Carter. Carter inside the 20 to the 16. Well, they say they can win with Sean Salisbury. They were forced to use him last year after a lot of injuries. So he comes off the bench, completes a 21-yard strike, and it's a first down just short of the 15.
But remember we talked about Chris Carter, number 80. I mean, he's the guy in motion. Now, again, he's not open generally when you throw the ball, but when it's in the air, he's got that separation. He has that ability to get away from the defender as the ball is in the air. So you always give him a chance, even when there are bodies close to him. Throw it up, give him an opportunity.
Last year, Salisbury started 6 games, including the playoff game. He'd made only 1 appearance this year. That was Monday night, and now they're going to have to use their second timeout. So the Vikings are down to 1 timeout. One of them to get McMahon out of there, and this one some confusion as Dennis Green, who last year took this team to the NFC Central Division title. He's won 10 straight against the Black and Blue Division. He is unbeaten against the NFC Central here in the Metrodome at 7-0. Bruised left shoulder is the diagnosis we have on Jim McMahon.
You know, it's interesting. Minnesota goes 11-5 last year, Gary, and decides to bring in a new quarterback. I mean, that is really unusual for a team to go 11-5. We talked to Dennis Green about it and said we just felt like we had to change the chemistry of this team. Felt like we didn't have a championship makeup in certain positions, and felt that Jim McMahon could come in and give us some leadership. You know, he's not going to be a dominating quarterback like a Montana Marino or Elway, but he's efficient, can play with a good defense. They didn't count on the injury to Terry Allen, and that is what really has hurt Jim McMahon's performance this year.
First down, just short of the 15. Chris Carter goes in motion. Robert Smith. And Smith to the 10-yard line. Smith looks a lot taller than he is because he has that long striding gallop. 6-footer, 195-pounder. He is only 21 years old. And that'll be a gain of 5 yards to the 10-yard line.
Yeah, think about it. 4 years ago, Robert Smith was in high school. And, it really is remarkable. He's going to have a long career ahead of him because he's got speed and he's pretty good at the point of attack. He's a speed guy. It's pretty good in a close defined area.
Second down and 5. Jordan comes in motion. The pass intended for Anthony Carter. Carter a slant over the middle. Pretty good coverage that time, especially by Tim McKyer. And Salisbury just missing, brings up a 3rd and 5.
But the Vikings, like a lot of teams in the NFL this year, Gary, have really been awful inside the 20. 15 times they've been inside the 20 this year and only have 4 touchdowns to show for it. 10 field goals. But again, they just haven't had the production down there. Now, in years past, Chris Carter has been a very valuable guy down here, using his size to an advantage.
A 3rd and 5. Salisbury with time. Complete to Carter. Touchdown. Well, Anthony Carter last year here caught 5 passes for 109 yards and a touchdown. He has been a nemesis as far as the Lions are concerned.
And that was a nice drive by Sean Salisbury. You always know it's a backup, you're 1 play away, but you have to mentally be ready. Clearly Salisbury was coming through a couple of nice passes, particularly there, the touchdown to Anthony.
Rod Revés to attempt the point after, and the hold of Harry Newsome in. Mike Morris, the center, just got run over by Mark Spindler. So flags everywhere, and there is Spindler. Played collegiately at Pittsburgh. As the coach is saying, he's got that Pennsylvania tough background. So they'll discuss who was guilty of that little infraction, and Revés waits to attempt the point after.
Encroachment on the nose tackle of the defense. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
So Spindler will give Revés now the chance, as you heard the explanation of the penalty. Newsome to hold, Mike Morris to snap. 6-0 Minnesota. Revés missed the PAT in the game Monday night, but he gets this one. It's 7-0. 69-yard drive in 8 plays.
Well, Denny Green said our passing game was out of sync. We needed some big plays out of the passing game to beat Detroit. Well, he gets one here. Sean Salisbury to Anthony Carter. giving the Vikings a 7-0 lead here in the first quarter. But here's the play. This is Chris Carter, and this is Anthony Carter. Now, Chris Carter is going to run here and attract 3 players. This third one. Anthony Carter runs a little in and out and comes wide open on the outside. But it was really set up by Chris Carter's route. He attracts all the defenders. Anthony Carter fakes in, comes outside. It's wide open for a touchdown.
That's his first touchdown catch of this year, but the 50th of his career. As Vernon Turner will bring this one out, and Rodney Peete and the Lions down 7-0 will start from the 20-yard line.
Well, with this Viking defense as good as it is, Gary, you know, Rodney Peete can't let this game get away early. This has to be a fourth quarter kind of game for Detroit to win this thing, I believe. It has to be a 3-point game, a 7-point game or so to get into that fourth quarter if Detroit's going to win.
We've been told that Jim McMahon is headed for the locker room, so Sean Salisbury looks like he will remain a quarterback for some time, if not the entire night. From the 20. Peete dumps it off to Barry Sanders. Sanders with his 22nd catch of the year picks up 9. Jack Del Rio went over there, and there goes Jim McMahon. You know, in his 12-plus years in this league, Pat, he has taken quite a beating. He has never played an entire season. He's been out with injury and assorted injuries. If you go back, they're just numerous, almost too numerous to go through.
Well, I'll tell you, Dan Owens had a running start up, and I mean, he got him there pretty good, and shoulder went right in the turf.
Gain of 8, 2nd and 2. The former Cincinnati Bengal goes in motion, backside. Peete got rid of it, intended for Holman. And the backside pressure coming from Chris Dolman. And that may have been the difference, because Peete had to get rid of it an instant too quick and could not make the connection to Holman.
Yeah, but here's what happens is when Dolman comes off the corner and he makes the sack, I mean, he's never just satisfied with the sack. He's always going to cause a fumble. Peete did a good job of feeling him and getting rid of the ball just in time. Now, it was a quick outside rush against Lomas Brown, the left tackle of the Lions. And I was talking to Dolman before the game, and he said, hey, Lomas Brown it gives me a tough time. I'm going to have to change it up on Lomas Brown. I'm going to come outside quick, and then I'm going to come inside and use a spin move on him.
Talked about 5 free agents starting on defense, but that's their #1 pick, Chris Dolman, and he's after Peete again. This time intended for Jimmy Johnson, the tight end at the 30, and Dolman that time again let Peete know that he was coming after him.
Yeah, and we just talked about the spin move. Chris Dolman, again, tries to come inside on Lomas Brown, and then he uses the spin move. He's got 3 or 4 different rushes. Tries to use an inside rip. He spins. Lomas Brown keeps his feet moving and did a nice job there. That round goes to Lomas Brown.
What was it Dennis Green said? He feels that Lomas Brown's the best outside tackle, left outside tackle in the NFL. Well, he's got his hands full tonight. Arnold on 4th down to punt. Not a very good punt. Parker coming up, lets it hit, and it takes a Viking bounce out to the 37-yard line. So from the 37, the Vikings with a 7-0 lead, they'll have the football. And Sean Salisbury in relief of Jim McMahon, moving the team the last time 69 yards. And we're going to be switching sports here on TNT. The NBA, the regular season begins here. A doubleheader on Friday. Join us for Game 1 as the defending champion Chicago Bulls take on Larry Johnson, Grandmama, and the Charlotte Hornets. That's 8 o'clock Eastern. Game 2, Charles Barkley and the Suns against the Lakers, who will be facing a former teammate, AC Green.
You and Ubi Brown will be there,
right? All beginning at 8 Eastern here on TNT. Here's Barry Ward trying to go wide. Chris Spielman is there. Now, Spielman made the stop. He's a fascinating guy. We visited him last night. Said he had quite a discussion with his wife. She says, you're living a dream. You're doing what you want to do. Why are you always so miserable? Because he's a perfectionist.
Yeah, you know, he is. I mean, he's always searching for that perfect game. And, you know, he was bleeding before the game even started. I was watching him in warm-ups. He had blood on his jersey. They had, on one snap, he was already bleeding.
Well, he's so muscled up, he probably chafed the arm there. Anyway, no gain. Actually, a half-yard loss on the play. Here's Carter. They fake the end around this time. Salisbury then to Jordan. Check that. Barry Word. The ball is loose, and running with it is going to be Clay. Are they going to rule that a completion?
Yeah.
They are, as Clay takes it in. So it's a completion, a fumble, and Clay, who earlier this year returned the opening kickoff on a fumble against New England, has come up with another big play. Wow.
Well, you know, the Minnesota team over the years has been great on return on their defense scoring. Last year, 8 defensive touchdowns. This year, Minnesota has 1 defensive touchdown. But this is what Detroit needs, a break defensively. We said that we talked about them becoming a defensive team, not just Barry Sanders' team. And that's a nice play by Willie Clay.
That's going to be officially 34 yards on the return. The question you had for a moment is whether Word ever had the ball put away. Point after attempt now by Jason Hansen out of the hold of Jim Arnold, trying to tie it up. And he does. We're even at 7. So let's go back and look at this play that ended up being 6 points for the Detroit Lions.
Well, you know, a lot of the Vikings didn't think it was a completion. There's Barry Word there. I don't know if that ball actually touched. He may have trapped that ball.
Well, my initial inclination was he didn't catch it.
Yeah, I think from that angle, it looked like Barry Word trapped the ball. Yeah, you know, I think the ground, he actually trapped that ball. I didn't think that was a reception, Gary.
Now they say officially that's 38 yards for Clay. So he's had 2 fumble returns for touchdowns this year. Got to give Clay a lot of credit, though. Look how quickly he was on the scene. And he goes to tie this game up at 7-7 as we have 3:27 left in this first quarter.
But that's why the Detroit Lions are 5-2 down. Their defense has played exceptionally well. 23 sacks coming into the game. Now they have 11 recovered fumbles, 7 interceptions.
That play was so well designed. They faked the end around to Anthony Carter, and Word cleared beautifully on it. They had it designed, but it just didn't happen the way they wanted it to. Here's Hansen, who leads the NFL in touchbacks on kickoffs, and he's going to add to that total as Qadri Ismail watches it go through. For that touchback, he's had 29 touchbacks in 38 kickoffs. That's a remarkable statistic, and that is like a weapon when you can't return a football on a kickoff. At the 20 now, Salisbury now tied at 7. Will start another series.
Now, Gary, this is, when you're a real fan, this is what you do when the ball comes and hits you in the hands. You know, you grab it, you stick it underneath your seat, and you pretend, no, I don't have it. and nobody's asked him for the ball back yet.
Well, no one knows who he is.
Yes.
First down from the 20-yard line. Robert Smith in the backfield. Here comes Smith. Smith chugging the legs, and the rookie has a 6-yard gain. He is so exciting to watch. He had only 6 yards rushing the first part of the year, and the last 2, 144, and he has 3 carries tonight for 33.
Well, you mentioned him being a long-legged guy. You know, it seems he's not typical of the running backs you're seeing. They're built kind of like Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith and those guys. The tall guys are now playing wide receivers. Short guys are being running back, but he is a contrarian.
That mean he's contrary?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Gary. Well done.
Second down 4. Here comes Smith again, and Smith is close to the first down. Dan Owens made the stop there. One thing we found out about Robert Smith, he doesn't wear a mouthpiece.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I would guess virtually every running back in the league does. But he says, hey, I gag on. He said, I couldn't wait to get to professional football where you don't have to wear them. But you know, every running back I'm aware of does wear the old mouthpiece.
I think I'd get another bar or 2 across that face mask. So they're short of the first down by a half yard. Third down coming up. Dan Owens, the guy who knocked McMahon out of the ball game earlier, is out on the sideline on this short yardage third and less than a yard. Give to Smith, and that's what you're talking about. He can hit it inside as well as go outside. He gets the first down behind Randall McDaniel, the all-pro guard.
You're right, Gary. Robert Smith, for people who are just beginning to learn about him, he's probably one of the fastest players in the National Football League. I mean, he can really fly, but he's not a little wimp, you know, in the line of scrimmage, in a tight area on short yardage. I mean, this is a team that has Barry Word, But you hear on short yardage situation right now, they give the ball to Robert Smith.
Shows some confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
First down at the 31. Play action by Salisbury over the middle. Chris Carter with the catch. And Salisbury looks like he's been playing every game.
Yeah.
Very nice completion. 16-yard gain. They'll mark it at the 48-yard line. And Minnesota tied at 7, moving the ball once again.
Yeah, this was a wonderful play fake by both Salisbury and Robert Smith. And give Salisbury some credit, because I think it's a real talent as a backup to come in and be hot as soon as you come in. Didn't have any time to warm up. That's another perfectly thrown ball there to Chris Carter.
First down at the 48. It's Smith again, this time for a yard, and that's all. Pretty good reaction by that Lion defensive forward wall, Lawrence Pete. That unglorious position at nose tackle. He's been the starter this year. They traded Jerry Ball to Cleveland, and he's been playing a lot more minutes for this team. Second down and 9 now for Minnesota. 28 seconds left in this first quarter. Vikings scored on a touchdown pass to Anthony Carter. The Lions on a fumble recovery by William Clay. Salisbury, a rifle shot, and somehow it's caught by Carter almost on the rebound. That's a remarkable catch. The ball was thrown so hard, but Carter stayed with it and catches the ball, and he's very close to the first down. This guy is such an athlete as we have come to the end of this first quarter of play. It's tied at 7 for the Metrodome. The black and blue division, the NFC Central. From the locker room, you can see he's warming up. He has some kind of a protectant on that left arm, as Sean Salisbury has done such a good job, and Sean Salisbury has moved him goalward one time.
Yeah, look what the Vikings have done on offense this year. They have not been terribly productive. Only 6 touchdowns coming in tonight. They have one 69-yard touchdown drive tonight, but most of them have been short touchdown drives caused by turnovers of their defense. They played on a short field.
Well, the drive tonight was 69 yards. We've also been informed that Pat Swilling is out. That ankle bothering him again. You had spotted that early, Pat. He just didn't look right. And Salisbury fumbles the snap from center. And that's what happens when you change quarterbacks from time to time. He and Adam Schreiber, the center, having a little problem there. The Vikings able to come up with it, but they lose a couple of yards on the play.
Well, speaking of backup quarterbacks, you know, Scott Mitchell today for Miami was sensational, and he looked like he was having a lot of fun playing the game.
Going to have to take that label backup away from him. He plays like he could take them all the way to Atlanta.
Big one.
In January. Robert Smith with the backfield. Salisbury 5 of 6 for 58. Now has completed a 6 pass. Steve Jordan, the Pro Bowl tight end, makes the catch. George Jameson made the stop at the 40-yard line. Well, you talk about Mitchell. He was over 300 yards. How about Hostetler? 423 yards passing today.
What a big win there for San Diego over the Raiders.
So the line of scrimmage now is the 40, third down and 9.
Okay, 7-7 ball game. This is an important down for Sean Salisbury. I mean, he needs the protection. Give your wide receivers a chance. Haven't stopped him tonight.
Salisbury dumps it off to Smith. Smith in the open field. Good tackle by Jameson and help arrive. They talk about George Jameson being the most underrated linebacker in the NFL. He plays so smoothly, so quietly, you don't notice him, but you noticed him there.
Yeah, down after down, you know, game after game. George Jameson is one of those guys in his 8th year now that you really win football games with. You can talk about Chris Spielman, you can talk about Pat Swilling, but Jameson didn't get a lot of headlines. It's only when you watch the tapes the next day you really appreciate guys like George Jameson.
Well, you appreciate Harry Newsom. He does a good job with these pooch punts. He has 12 punts inside the 20, only 3 touchbacks this year. And Newsom hits it very high. Vernon Turner waving frantically the fair catch signal, and he makes it around the 20-yard line. So the Lions will have the football. We have 13:01 to go in this first half. We're deadlocked at 7.
You hear me knocking? I'm coming in with the Vikings cheerleaders, trick or treat. By the way, join all the lovely ladies, myself, Kevin, Kylie, Warren, Moon, at halftime. Highlights from around the NFL today. And we would all like to say to you, happy
Hey, which one's Bob Neal?
I thought it was going to rhyme or something when he started there, didn't you?
From the 20-yard line, first down. Oh, it's Halloween night, folks. There's a delay handoff to Sanders. Barry breaks out the 30. The race is on. Carl Lee is over there. Todd Scott misses the tackle, but he knocks him out of bounds. So Scott saved him from going all the way. That ends up being a 42-yard run. That's his longest run this year from the line of scrimmage.
You know, generally, if Barry Sanders gets 2 steps on you, the next guy making a move is the scoreboard operator. I mean, there's a signature run there by Barry Sanders. Not only does he have speed, obviously, to outrun people, but he runs laterally, I think, better than anybody in the National Football League. He can gain yards while going east and west. I mean, most guys can't do that. Thurman Thomas can, Emmitt Smith can, and certainly Barry Sanders.
Rodney Peak trying to build on that run, and he completes it to Herman Moore, who's been red hot the last 2 weeks. Let's go back to that run by Barry.
Yeah, the handoff. Now, this is his 107th carry this year. He has not fumbled this year at all. That was nearly his first. But that is the remarkable thing, his durability, Gary, to me, and the fact that he doesn't fumble much. And as I said, this year, 170 carries without a fumble. To me, that is incredible.
Well, he's headed for a big night. His high this year is 148 yards. 16-yard completion to Moore. First down at the 22. Delay again to Barry Sanders. This time they're there. Edward McMillan was there first. So that little delay didn't fool the Vikings. Yeah, good reaction by McMillan, who last year became a starter. In his first year, he went to the Pro Bowl.
Remember, this is the #1 ranked defense in the National Football League, and for a reason. It's guys like Andre McMillan, a corner like him, who can play the pass, play that zone, make interceptions, make all those plays, and then come up to the line of scrimmage. And he was close to the line of scrimmage when he made the tackle on Sanders.
Loss on the play of 4, 2nd and 14. There it is again, the delay to Barry. They're going to go to Barry again. They said we have to be patient, keep pounding the ball with Barry Sanders. A little shoving and pushing after the play. Henry Thomas getting into it along with Bill Fralick. As the forward progress will be marked to the 25-yard line. They're still not back to the original line of scrimmage.
What Detroit is doing here, Gary, and it's a smart game plan by Dan Henning, their offensive coordinator, to slow down a rush. You run draws, you run traps, you run screens, you have play action, passes, you change the count up. And thus far in the first half, Detroit is doing a lot of those things, particularly the draws and changing up the count.
3rd and 13. Pete looks him off, goes the other side to Barry. Look at this open field move. He got something out of very little. Jack Del Rio eventually caught up with him. Boy, that's got to be scary if you're defending against number 20. He almost broke that to pick the first down up. Instead, it brings up a 4th down.
Yeah, Barry Sanders could make you miss in a telephone booth. I'm convinced of it. And you mentioned, Gary, about them using him more as a receiver. He's the 2nd leading receiver on their team this year.
Jason Hansen will come in to attempt the 34-yard field goal. He had 3 field goals last week. Out of the hole of Arnold, and Hansen's kick is up, and the Lions have the lead. 10-7. All set up on that 42-yard run by Barry Sanders. And Detroit with a 10-7 lead. To set up that last field goal, that 42-yard run. 9:44 left to go in this first half. Hansen will kick the 34-yard field goal. Kadri Ishmael is back deep. A 2nd-round draft pick, and he's going to get a return out of this one. Boy, this guy can really run and brings it out to the 25. Of course, he's a brother of the Rocket, who plays now with the Los Angeles Raiders. Well, the Vikings have had a very fine tradition. Bud Grant, remember those years of the Vikings? That gives us an opportunity to look at tonight's GMC truck leaderboard. Since the merger in 1970, look what's happened in the NFC Central Division.
The surprising thing to me is Green Bay has only had one of those.
That was in 72, and believe it or not, I was doing their games then. That's how far back that goes.
Yeah, I can believe that, yeah.
Survived a lot of people like you, Hayden. First down from the 25. And that pass is completed to Anthony Carter, who scoops it off of the ground at the 29-yard line as he's able to make a grab for 3 yards. Second down and 7.
You know, Anthony Carter's had a nice evening here tonight with the touchdown catch from Salisbury, but he is a guy that the Vikings are slowly trying to work out and work in Jake Reed, a second-year receiver with some size, and they like the size of Reed and Chris Carter in particular. But right now, Anthony Carter has been the featured guy for the Vikings.
What about Salisbury now? He's hit 7 in a row. 8 of 9 for the night. Hand off this time to Smith, and Smith somehow bursts out of there and got the first down. Chris Spielman eventually was able to drop him. You talk about having good tilt and running with the ball. Robert Smith did.
Yeah, this is called body lean. Robert Smith always keeps his legs moving. And you see the change of direction speed. Again, he's 6 feet tall with those long legs, yet he keeps the legs moving, and he can change directions in a very fast speed without losing speed. And that's hard to do.
49 yards on 7 carries for Mr. Smith. Salisbury and Chris Carter couldn't get up high enough there, and if he can't get up high enough, no one can, because he has outstanding leaping ability. That's one of his assets, is to time it and get up and climb up to the ball.
You know, we were talking with Chris Carter this week, and he was frustrating with the passing game, saying, hey, it's out of sync. But he was saying, you know, I'm not into worrying about catching a bunch of balls anymore. What I really want to do is win and win a championship. And that's all he really cares about at this point in his career, now in his 7th year.
Well, the Vikings are leading in yardage, but trailing in this football game. Hand off again to Smith. Boy, he's fun to watch as he drags the tackler to the 44. That tackler is Robert Porcher, number 91, last year the #1 draft pick for the Detroit Lions. They're using Porcher and Pritchett back up to Spindler and Owens. They alternate those people up front.
You know, Robert Smith is a big guy, 6 feet, 195 pounds, but he doesn't give you a lot to hit. He just doesn't give you a big target. Nice block there by Schreiber, too.
Third down now. 4 yards to go. Salisbury with protection, coming back and making a very good catch is Jake Reed. That was not easy. Ryan McNeil was draped all over him, and Reed, who they're very excited about. He's been hurt until last week, came back to the ball and made a 10-yard catch.
Yeah, it was a nice throw there by Sean Salisbury. Started with some pretty good protection, kind of wound up, let it happen. But to be able to adjust for the ball, I mean, I think in a good throw, because Salisbury threw it away from the defender where he had no chance of making the interception or the play. But you have to be able to adjust to the ball as a receiver.
First down, short of the 45. Over the catches made by Carter, and Chris Carter on the seam and on his way. And he's eventually dropped at the 25, a 21-yard gain.
Sean Salisbury has a bigger arm than Jim McMahon. Yeah, he didn't win a Super Bowl and all that. He's been a backup most of his career, but he does have a strong arm, and he's getting the ball into the receiver on time in rhythm. And this passing attack looks more in sync for the Vikings than they have all season long, Gary.
Now, Carter came out of the game and then tried to get back in. He couldn't get in the huddle soon enough, that being Chris Carter, so they made a change. Salisbury now 10 for 12, 98 yards and a touchdown. First down, double pump by Salisbury. He's got all kinds of time. Then he just threw it away. But again, very good pass blocking by the Minnesota Vikings. So we have a 6:17 showing on the clock here in the second quarter. It's 10-7 in favor of the Lions. The Vikings struck first on a 69-yard drive, capped on a 10-yard touchdown pass from Salisbury to Carter. Then Willie Clay on a fumble recovery, tied it up, returning it 38 yards on a fumble by Barry Word. And then Jason Hansen gave the Lions a lead at the 9:44 mark with a 34-yard field goal. But the Vikings on the move here. Salisbury, and the catch is made by Anthony Carter. And that was not easy because Ray Crockett was going for the intercept. Instead, it's an 11-yard gain on the play.
That was a sensational throw by Sean Salisbury. Rolling to his left is Tracy Hayworth. He's filling in for Pat Swilling, who was injured with that ankle. Swilling started, but Hayward there. But here's the rollout. Good protection. Look at all the blockers out in front of him. But he's going to his left. He winds up and he zings this ball against a pretty good coverage. It's a heck of completion for a first down, and the Vikings are driving again.
Well, the Lions are getting a little thin at outside linebacker. Tracy Hayworth was shaken up on that last play. He's had a hamstring problem out the first 5 games. Swilling was hurt earlier. And then the start of the game, they didn't even have Dennis Gibson. As Salisbury replaced Jim McMahon and went down in the second quarter with a shoulder injury. Continues to move the team on a first down. Timing pattern to Carter. He couldn't hang on. We have a flag. It looked to me like it'll be defensive pass interference against Willie Clay. He had grabbed his jersey as Carter went by him. Nice touch, though, by Salisbury on that pass.
Yeah, Sean Salisbury has thrown about every kind of pass, Gary. I mean, he has zipped the ball, and he has thrown it with touch.
Pass interference, 32 defense, spot foul, first down.
Now, this is ordinarily a pass that Chris Carter catches even with pass interference, and Sean Salisbury knows it. You throw it up high, you give him a chance. But the pass interference really happened to down about the 3 or 4 yard line.
As he said, a spot foul, so they move it to the 5. It'll be first and goal there. 9-yard penalty is what it ends up being.
And there's the grab right there at about the 6 or 7 yard line. But ordinarily, even with that, that's a pass ordinarily Carter catches.
Yeah, I was surprised when it came out. Salisbury going back to Carter. This time he comes down with it, but was he inbounds? They're waiting.
Yeah.
Yes, touchdown. But there is another flag. They waited a long time to see whether Chris Carter got both feet inbounds.
But Gary, I'm really impressed with Sean Salisbury. And this is what you call knowing your receiver. I mean, Chris Carter is going to create a mismatch, a size mismatch. You throw the ball up and you let Chris Carter go get it.
Ruling on the play is a force out, touchdown. We have holding on the defense. Penalty is declined, touchdown.
Now the force out means if he hadn't been pushed out, he would have come down in bounds. We talk about knowing your receiver. Offensive football is a game of mismatches. You have a 6'3" Chris Carter against a 5'9" Ray Crockett. You throw the ball up, you let him go get it. Now the ruling is if he weren't pushed out when he came down, he would have caught it with both feet in. I'm not so sure of that myself. It looked like the ball was bringing him outside, out of bounds, but that was the ruling on the field.
Well, the officials took a long time coming to that determination. Reve's now trying to make it a 14-10 game, and does. So Salisbury is 12 of 15 now, 114 yards.
Looking for mismatches on offense. You had one there. It was a size mismatch. And now the Vikings go back up on top. Okay, Vikings up by 4 points, but let's go back to the touchdown to Chris Carter. Now, it's a judgment call by the official, and they have to say, if he were not pushed out, would he come down to the field to play? I don't think so. I think he's out. Well, that linesman's right there. He didn't call a touchdown run. I think that ball was out of bounds.
The dirty friend, Jerry Seaman, the supervisor of officials, was here tonight in the Metrodome. Here comes a return by Vernon Turner. And Turner is out to the 35 to 40 and replacing Mel Gray very well, thank you. He had a 45-yard return that set up the winning field goal last week against the Rams, and that is another 45-yard return. 2 years he led the Rams in kickoff and punt returns.
Well, Frank Gantz, the special teams coach who does a remarkable job for the Lions, said what he likes about Turner, he's got speed, he can change direction, and he sets up his blockers well. And he did all 3 of those things there in that return. Frank Gantz, over the years, Gary, has done as good a job as you can on special teams. 1 year in Kansas City, his teams won a game 24-19. They scored all 24 points on special teams.
That's when he was the head coach of the Chiefs. First down now, just short of the 45. Barry Sanders trying to go wide. Randall's after him, and also there very quickly was Fred Strickland. They call him a knockdown linebacker. He is big and strong. He weighs close to 250 pounds, and he knocked Barry Sanders down for a loss.
You're right. Danny Green was saying we needed that strong physical linebacker who, once he hit a ball carrier, went down immediately, that didn't drag the linebacker 2 or 3 yards. And Danny Green says, you know, if you have a linebacker that the ball carrier goes down as soon as you hit him, you end up with a lot of nickel situations, and that's what they want.
Unrestricted free agent from the Rams. Former second-round draft pick for the LA Rams. Heat back on a second down and 16, complete to Sanders, and Strickland's there again. So number 53 staying with Barry Sanders, makes 2 back-to-back tackles. It'll bring up a third down and still a long ways to go.
Gary, this has been a good ball game. Minnesota up 14-10. We have had a little bit of everything. We've had some good defense, which we thought we were going to get. I'm surprised we've had a little bit more offense than I anticipated in the first half. And we just had a big special teams play by Vernon Turner. You know, a defensive score, a couple of offensive scores. It's been a good ball game so far.
Remember this. The Vikings have not scored 20 points this year. Only now 14-10. Should say leading 14-10. Pete is back, scrambling out, flushed out. This is his escapability, and he's to the 49. He'll be 4 yards short of the first down. It'll be a fourth down. Roy Barker eventually caught up with him.
Yeah, remember at the very beginning of the show we said Rodney Peete can't turn the ball over, and on sacks too. I mean, Rodney Peete did a great thing here because Chris Dolman is looking for the fumble. He's not only was going to sack him, he was going to steal the ball away from him, but he didn't risk it. I mean, he didn't force the ball, and he's going to make it a close game. Watch the arm swing here by Dolman. Yeah, see, he's not just looking for the sack. He's looking for the forced fumble. That's a heck of a play by Peete.
Arnold with a very good punt. Fair catch is called for and made at the 9-yard line by Anthony Parker. 41-yard punt. And so Minnesota, they 14-10 lead with 3:43 left in this first half of play. At halftime, we'll be joining Bob Neal and Kevin Kiley along with Warren Moon for the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. Week 9, the midseason report, a recap, highlights of this game in the battle for first here in the black and blue division, the NFC Central. There's a guy they call Psycho, John Randall. They say he's a wonderful guy off the field, but when he gets on the field, he's a wild man.
Yeah, he is hyperactive. He is relentless. He is animated, and he is a very good football player. Both those guys are.
First down now to 9. Barry Word is in the backfield. Salisbury complete to Jordan, and Jordan diving forward very close to the first down. George Jameson made the stop on Jordan. Jordan just continues to perform at a high level. He's gone to 6 Pro Bowls, and even though he is now 32 years of age, they don't think he's slowed down very much at all. And here is Swilling. We mentioned he tried to play that high arch sprain, went early, didn't look right, and had to come out of the ball game.
How high was that sprain, Gary?
Very high.
Thank you.
Second down, less than a yard to go. And here's Barry Word picking up the first down.
Ouch. I mean, Barry Word is a great short yardage runner, but man, he took a blow.
Yes, and he is not getting up very quickly. Word had a 200-yard game against the Lions when he was with Kansas City in 1990. 2 of the last 3 years led the Chiefs in rushing. Couldn't come to an agreement contract-wise with Kansas City, so he ended up being traded over for a 5th-round draft pick. You could hear that shot clear up here.
Yeah, but you know, you see Barry Word get hurt. You see a lot of guys get hurt today. And what the NFL has really come down to is Darwinism. The teams that are healthy at the end of the year, particularly at quarterback, and are playing well in December, have the best chance to go all the way.
Darwinism? Evolution?
You'll figure it out, Gary.
Well, I don't believe in evolution, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Survival of the fittest here. Watch this. He's going to take a shot. He had Spielman and then Spindler. And he takes another shot from William White. Oof.
So Robert Smith replaces Barry Word. He did get the first down just across the 20. Robert Smith, and he gets hammered pretty good as he picks up 4 yards. Victor Jones made the stop there. Jones, who played very well last week in relief of the injured Dennis Gibson, getting the starting call. He is a guy in his 6th year out of Virginia Tech who was a 12th round draft pick of Tampa Bay and then came over as a plan B.
Yeah, but you just, in today's game, we just talk about injury, you can't just have 11 starters. I mean, you need to have guys who come in and really need 15, 16 starters on defense in particular because of the injuries you're going to suffer all year.
2nd down and 6. Salisbury showing that good arm, trying to hit AC Anthony Carter. Defending on the play was Tim McKyer. McKyer has been an interesting story. He came over this year after playing a couple of years for the Atlanta Falcons. He's always been known as a talker, a guy who's been very flamboyant, but the coaches say he's been very quiet since coming over. Been a model performer. He has 2 interceptions. He had one Monday night, or I should say last Sunday, against the Los Angeles Rams. So to bring up a 3rd down. Salisbury on the double pump. That's a dangerous pass. Ishmael makes the catch. He's short of the 1st down. Boy, that's one of those that when you throw it, you just hope that cornerback hasn't set in on that one and picked it off and gone the other way. Timeout is called now by Detroit. They'll get the timeout just before the 2-minute warning. They'll have 2 timeouts remaining as a 4th down coming up. And they're thinking at least getting within field goal range. That's Toby Castone, who's a very fine special teams player for Wayne Fonts. What a year Wayne Fonts went through last year. Eric Andolsek, an untimely death, and the tragic death of his brother Lynn, who had been the secondary coach. Even going back further, when Mike Utley had that injury that paralyzed him, they fought through the year after winning the division in '91, slipped to 5-11, but right now on top of the NFC Central. What a guy. He came into the meeting last night. We didn't have to ask a question. He just rattled off everything.
Yeah, you just put a quarter in Wayne and he goes.
So Newsom to punt the football. Turner is back for the Lions. Turner again calling for the fair catch and lets it hit. It almost hit. Greg Jeffries, the rookie for the Lions, goes out of bounds, so they're going to have the ball at the 37. That was not a good punt. It ended up being 33 yards.
Well, as we said, this has been a good ball game here. Minnesota up by 4 points as we head into the nearly 2 minutes, 2:01 remaining. And Rodney Peete has done his thing. I mean, he's kept the game close. They featured Barry Sanders. They still have 2 timeouts. They're thinking at least a field goal, but he still has to be aware of Chris Dolman on his backside. Don't get the sack and the fumble.
Perriman comes in motion. Pete's got time. Over the middle. Perriman wide open at the 35. He's within field goal range now to the 32. Well, they gave Pete time, and Perriman cleared, and that's a 30-yard completion to Brett Perriman.
Well, that was great pass protection by the offensive line of the Lions that set that baby up.
2-minute warning as Pete gets him within field goal range. 1:52 exactly left in this first half.
We go back. Look at the offensive line protection that Rodney Peete had. Left tackle, Lomas Brown. 67 is Dave Richards, the left guard. Freilich on the right side, Glover. I mean, this is perfect pass protection. And again, this is near a 2-minute drill. Everybody knew he was going to throw the ball, and that is a wide open Brett Perriman. But the offensive lineman set that long play up.
Well, they had him in motion. It took a long time to clear, and they had the time. 30-yard completion to the 32. 14-10, the Vikings with the lead. A pass complete to Barry Sanders. Knocked out of bounds by Todd Scott. He'll be short of the 30. Gain of maybe 2 yards on the play. It'll bring up 2nd and 8.
Gary, we said at the very beginning of this broadcast we thought it was going to be a defensive game, a black and blue division type of game. What I've been impressed with is really the confidence of both quarterbacks. I mean, Rodney Peete looks awfully confident, and so does Sean Salisbury. I mean, he comes in off the bench after the injury to Jim McMahon, and then he's thrown every kind of pass.
Detroit with 2 timeouts remaining. 1:48 left in the half. Being chased and caught this time by Roy Barker. Barker showing good athletic ability. Drops him for a yard gain. It'll bring up a 3rd down and still 7. Clock running with 1:33.
Yeah, close ball game, though. You don't force the ball. And Rodney Peete has done a good job of not forcing it so far in this game, avoiding the backside sack by Chris Dolman. I mean, the eyes are looking for anybody to come open, but then he secures the ball. He changes hands, puts it away, secures the ball, because he knows in the NFL today, the forced fumble, where you strip the ball carrier, is very much in vogue.
Well, the Lions know how. They have 17 takeaways, tied for first in the NFC coming in here. As Pete calls a timeout, the Lions have one timeout remaining. I think what's very interesting about that is Swilling brought some of that to the Lions, coming from New Orleans, and they had 10 fumble recoveries coming into tonight.
You're right. It's the forced fumble is becoming as big as the sack or the interception in the NFL. And the surprising thing to me is how effectively it has been coached and taught.
So it's a 3rd down and 7. A minute 26 left in the half.
Can't take the sack here, and you can't throw the interception because you're in field goal range.
Flag on the play over the middle to Sanders. They're going to blow this dead. This play is dead. The crowd really into it. It's been a very quiet, laid-back crowd. I don't know if because it's Halloween or what. Maybe they come here dressed as somebody else and don't know how to act. But it's been very quiet.
Left tackle, 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
Well, they're going to move out of field goal range if they're not careful here.
Well, you see what happens when the crowd does get into it in a dome stadium, though. But now, it makes it obviously a much 5-yard longer field goal if they don't get some. So if you're Pete, you're thinking about, hey, don't take the sack, don't throw the interception. But if you have to, get those 5 yards back. Give yourself a reasonable shot at a field goal. You don't want a 50-yarder plus.
So the 5-yard penalty on Lomas Brown moves it back to the 35. Pete feels the pressure. Nice catch by Barry Sanders. He's in the open field, and that could be trouble as he's going to be knocked out of bounds. It'll be a 4th down as he's knocked out of bounds at the 26. But, oh, is he fun to watch. When he gets in the open field, you just see people pick up the intensity trying to get there, knowing they're in trouble if they don't hurry.
I think he is one of the very few players in the league that when he touches the ball, everybody's excited, including players on the sidelines. I mean, there's a sense of electricity about the guy, even from the players in the National Football League. Now, this guy has averaged 32 catches a year, 2nd leading receiver for the Lions this year. Caught 5 tonight.
44-yard field goal attempt. Hanson's already hit one from 34. Hanson's kick is on the way, and Jason Hanson, who's won 2 games this year by field goals and leads the NFL in scoring, has added 3 more. He came in here with 68 points, and he's added 6 by field goals here, and it's a 1-point game.
Gary, this has been a good ball game, and people have been knocking the NFC Central, but these 2 teams, I think, are capable teams. I mean, the Lions coming on defensively this year. I mean, it looks like they have a confident quarterback now in Rodney Peete. And the Vikings, with that defense, they can beat anybody.
Well, we're going to hurry back after this game, get back to the hotel, because we have a Stephen King classic.
Oh, yeah.
But I want you to come to my room, because I can't watch it by myself. It scared me half to death. Sissy Spacek stars in the thriller Carrie.
Well, I want to tell you, there is some prom scene there. I want to tell you, remind me of my high school prom, Carrie.
I hope that wasn't some of those girls who were down there with Bob Neal earlier. Do you think they're okay, right? All right, just checking.
Everybody's all right.
1:08 left to go in this first half.
There they are. This guy has separate sock drawers, or she does.
I was going to say, is it a he?
That's a she, I guess. Separate sock drawers. You all right?
Ismael is at the flag on the play. Cadre brings it out to the 20 with the disperse, and he brings it out to the 35 and goes out of bounds. As they say about Cadre, he has good to excellent speed, and he showed it there. But let's see what the penalty's all about.
Offside on the kicking team. The penalty is declined. First down.
So with 1:02, Cadre sets him up with good field position. at the 38. They have one timeout remaining.
Yeah, it was still plenty of time. Revez, career-long 52-yard field goal. They need to get to around the 35-yard line to give him a legitimate shot. But the way that Salisbury is throwing the ball, Gary, I mean, he has used everybody.
It's the best starting field position for the Vikings tonight. Going to set up a screen, and Smith can't hang on. Robert Smith came into this ball game with 11 catches, but he will make a lot of catches in his career because of those long arms. They want to get him in the open field.
Well, you know, the thing about Robert Smith that we saw last Monday night from him, he has the kind of speed that can outrun tackling angles. You know, you think you have him, you think you have the angle on him, and then he can just outrun that angle.
Well, he did it against the Bears Monday night. Second down, 10, and complete to Carter. And that will be a first down, and they're getting close to that field goal range. A 15-yard pickup on the play. 47 seconds left. A one-point game. The Vikings leading by 1. Salisbury gets good blocking from Tim Irwin and completes it again. And Anthony Carter has another first down, just short of the 35. An 11-yard pickup.
He's just about in field goal range right now. Needs 3 or 4 more yards.
Carter has 6 catches, 68 yards as Salisbury spikes the ball to stop the clock with 22 seconds.
Sean Salisbury has used 7 different receivers, Gary. He's thrown the ball to tight ends, to backs, to wide receivers. He's drilled the ball. He's thrown it with some touch. You say, why is he backing up? You know.
Well, he may not, the way he's playing now. He's 16 of 22, 153 yards. You know, Salisbury's one of those guys that seems to always be backing someone up as Revez awaiting a field goal opportunity. Salisbury again, complete to Carter. He'll stop the clock, get out of bounds at the 31. That'd be, what, a 48-yard field goal if they don't get any closer with 18 seconds left in this half.
Fuad Revez was telling us yesterday, hey, I don't like to think about how important any kick is. He says, you know, I don't get caught up in all that hype. I just get out there, have the guy place it, and I kick it. I mean, it's a very simple process for him.
Third down and 5. Double pump by Salisbury. He's going to take a crack at the end zone. Anthony Carter. And he runs out of room. Pretty good coverage that time by William White, the strong safety. So Revez will come in now on a 4th down with 13 seconds left in the half. Rod Revez this year is 11 of 15. His long, a 51-yarder against Green Bay. And, of course, he kicked the winner against the Packers in that remarkable finish here in the Metrodome. You can see what he's done, though, from 40 to 49, 0 for 3. And this will be a 48-yard attempt. Out of the hold of Newsom. Kick on the way, and the Vikings have built their lead even more. That ball took a long time to get there, but Revez got it. 17-13, Minnesota. And we still have 8 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, Jackie Sherrill will be checking that ball for helium. I promise you. That did take a long time to get there.
Well, Salisbury, pressed into duty due to the injury to Jim McMahon in the second series, has been, I think, quite surprising.
Well, you know, Denny Green said to us yesterday, hey, we can win with Sean Salisbury. Came in, and he's a proven quantity. Last year, he started 4 games, won 3-1 as a starter. Came in 3 others, won those games. I mean, he had brought his team from behind a couple times last year. He's a relaxed guy, and Gary, coming out of high school in Southern California, Sean Salisbury, they really believe, people in Southern California believed he was going to be the next John Elway.
I remember.
He was recruited that heavily by everybody in the country and went to Southern Cal. Things didn't work out terribly well for him, but he never gave up. Went up to Canada.
Well, he played in that 84 Trojan team that went to the Rose Bowl, but he wasn't the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Remember that? He was a backup at the time. Played for Ted Tollner, who was a head coach. The thing is, you got to remember now, is the most points the Vikings have scored this year in a game is 19. Yeah. And they're at 17 now, and we're still have 8 seconds left in this half.
Well, if they get either 2 extra points or a safety, they'll tie that, right?
Let me take my shoes off. I'm going to count.
Please don't. Please don't. Yeah.
All right, Reveille's the kickoff. Derek Moore and Vernon Turner back deep for the Lions. 17-13 Minnesota. The Fruit of the Loom halftime report will be coming up. A very interesting black and blue division battle here from the Metrodome. Going to squib it along the ground. Turner will bring it up. And Turner out to the 25 and tackled there with still 3 seconds left in the half. That was J.C. Pearson down there first, number 24. Vernon Turner, I remember Frank Gann saying he thinks he can be a big-time return guy. And, you know, when you have a guy like Mel Gray, you ought to have some idea about some skills as to the abilities of someone. And he's excited about Turner.
He says, you know, Mel Gray is a guy that is a shot. And he said Vernon Turner is different in that he kind of really sets up blockers on his returns.
Minnesota has 249 yards in offense. They're only averaging a little over 264 for the year. So they'll drop to a knee, and that'll bring us to the halfway point. 17-13. Minnesota with the lead over the Detroit Lions in this battle for first in the NFC Central. At halftime, we'll be joining Bob Neal and Kevin Kiley and Warren Moon. But first, let's take a break.